the Book of Mormon, the word contention is often associated with the word war. And indeed, all wars are a result of contention. Although not all contention leads to war, yet all wars start because of contention. And this is just as true for a war of words or a war of wills between two or more individuals. And this kind of war can be just as destructive to a relationship as can physical armed conflict. Contention is like a fire. Many times a fire is small and burns itself out with very little harm. But unless effective safety barriers are put in place before the fire starts, it has the potential of spreading, and when that happens, it can quickly get out of control. All fires need three things in order to exist: air, fuel, and heat. If any one of these three elements is missing, there can be no fire. If contention is like a fire, then it too needs certain elements in order to exist. And if those elements are not present, there can be no real contention. Not all disagreements lead to contention, so the question is, how do we keep disagreements from turning into a fiery confrontation? And a follow-up question is, if contention does happen, how do we keep it from getting out of control? To find the answer to these questions, we need to learn what the ingredients are that must be present in order for contention to exist. There are many things that can cause contention between people, including envy, jealousy, bitterness, or malice. However, the common element in all of these is pride. Fire can manifest itself in various degrees of intensity, from the small flame of a match, to the roaring flame of a bonfire, to the expansive inferno of a burning forest. In the same way, pride can manifest itself in varying degrees of intensity, as well as in many different forms. Although the word pride has a number of different meanings, what the scriptures speak of can be defined as an attitude of conceit, vanity, arrogance, or exhibiting an exaggerated air of superiority over others. Although it's only natural, normal, and even beneficial for people to hold differing opinions, it's when someone exhibits an air of vanity or arrogance in expressing their opinions that the spirit of pride becomes manifest. It is pride that causes someone to feel compelled to prove that the other person is wrong. And the more they fail in that effort, the more irritated they become. It's at some point during such a discussion that a small flame of bitterness is ignited. And if it is not quickly extinguished, that flame will grow in intensity. When Alma saw this kind of attitude was becoming rampant within the Church of God, he went forth among the people of Nephi, that he might preach the word of God unto them. And there are several reasons why preaching the word of God has such a great tendency to lead people to do that which is just. One is that it proclaims a message of peace. It teaches us how to relate to others, especially those who think or behave differently than us. And as we study the Scriptures every day, we are reminded of our duty to God and to our fellow man. But perhaps the most important reason why the Word of God has such a powerful influence on us is that as we listen to the words of God, whether spoken or written, we are promised that God's Spirit will always be with us. The mighty change in our heart that the Spirit can produce cannot be duplicated by any human logic or reasoning. But because of our human nature, it's easy to lose the Spirit, especially in the heat of an argument. Therefore, we need to build a firewall that will help keep away any feelings of resentment, irritation, impatience, or annoyance from growing and spilling out onto others. When we're in a discussion with others, there is always going to be a sharing of ideas, and it's normal for each person to try and help the other to see things their way. However, the problem comes when we feel ourselves becoming frustrated that the person we're talking to doesn't want to agree with us, no matter how hard we try to convince them of our position. President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has taught, "The true brotherhood of men and the true sisterhood of women inspires us to build bridges of understanding and cooperation instead of walls of segregation." When differences of opinion arises, it's like a chasm that separates us from one another. And the more we focus on those differences, the wider the chasm becomes. Therefore, when talking with people, our attitude should be, how do I build a bridge of understanding that can transcend our differences rather than enlarge them? It's when we're concerned about proving our point that we're focused on our needs, and that is a sign of pride. However, it's hard to become upset with someone when we're focusing on attending to their needs. Of course, if the other person wants to continue being argumentative, well, that's their choice. But as followers of the Prince of Peace, we can choose to prevent our emotions from getting out of control by learning how to contain them behind spiritual firewalls.